Salvation Army, our Office of Emergency Management. There are a lot of people on the ground. It's been a challenging day because the communications have been very difficult. They're still very difficult because there were so many people trying to use their cell phones that you literally could not get through, either text messaging or through phone calls. And then there's been a lot of down power lines, and you couldn't even use landlines. And take that on top of the massive traffic jams on I-35 and I-44 where the tornado crossed, along with the back streets that are jammed up and the debris and power lines down. It's a very difficult situation right now, but our goal right now is to make sure that we're in the search and rescue mode, looking for people that might have been in harm's way.
And Governor, I know earlier today you were over in Shawnee and Kearney where the storm went through last night. And where were you today when all of this started happening, about 3 o'clock?
Well, I had just got back to Oklahoma City, and we were driving into Oklahoma City about 30 minutes before it hit, and we had gotten word. I had the emergency management director with me, and we'd gotten word that there was a cell forming over around El Reno, and that it was going up really high with the clouds itself. And at that point in time, there was not a storm, but I had just literally been in the Capitol probably about 30 minutes before it hit, and it hit very, very hard. And it was remarkable how quickly the storm came about because the skies were just basically cloudy there for a while. I will tell you the President has called me. He has offered to do anything he can to help with red tape, to help with the federal entities. We actually had someone from FEMA that had arrived yesterday and is the regional person, and they have had their boots on the ground here too. We also have called in extra rescue units from out of state along with search and rescue dogs because we want to do everything we can to search through these damaged areas, especially before it gets dark or before we have any more storms that might come through.
Have you gone ahead and issued an emergency declaration on this storm? I know yesterday you did 16 counties. Do you just add the counties to it? How does that work?
I actually have. I've been on the phone with FEMA in Washington, D.C., and we took it up to a different level of emergency declaration. We've added 5 new counties to that area, and that will help us get immediate funding into the state, get individual assistance to those that have lost their properties, and to get assistance to these local communities. It's certainly very expensive to access all the backhoes and law enforcement personnel with overtime hours and assistance. So we have already gotten that declaration in, got it going, and declared the 5 more counties into our disaster relief.
And Governor Fallin, I know yesterday when we spoke to you last night, we were talking about 3 days of potential storms, and this is day number 3. We have certainly gotten hit the hardest today. Going forward, yesterday you offered some advice for Oklahomans to really be weather aware. Going forward from here, what do you tell folks?
Well, they still need to be weather aware today. We're not through with the dry line of the hot and cold weather that came through Oklahoma that caused these massive buildups and the storms today. We still have a tornado watch for the central eastern part of the state of Oklahoma. You know, my concern today for some of these communities that lost total power was I wanted the people to be able to hear the weather, and I want to thank your station for the tremendous job that your weathermen and your newscasters have done. I can't tell you how many people today in Kearney and in Bethel Acres and in Shawnee told me that because of the media telling them minute by minute where the storm track was, that you guys helped save lives, and how many people told me they ran to their storm shelter at the time, just in the nick of time, to be safe. And there are many people who were buried in the storm shelters with their houses that fell on top of those shelters. But the information that the media got out saved lives today and yesterday too.
Governor Mary Fallin, I thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us. I know you have a busy number of days ahead and that sort of thing, and I'm certain you'll probably be on the ground there in the Moore area tomorrow as well.
We will. We're going to leave first thing in the morning, and we'll be out on the ground on site.
Okay. Governor Mary Fallin, thank you very much for talking to us today. We certainly appreciate it. Governor saying that she's already called in more search and rescue teams coming in from out of state. That includes more dogs that are coming in to help out. Also, the president has already called her, has offered her any help that he can to, quote, cut through the red tape that she's going to have to go through. She has added 5 more counties to this emergency declaration. That puts us into 21 different counties that are going to need assistance. By her doing that, it goes ahead and gets that ball rolling because so many people are going to need that help. Let's go out to KOCO's Morgan Chesky. And Morgan, we checked in with you. Many parents still coming to get their kids. Most of them have been picked up at this point. That's the great news about this.
Paul, that is the greatest thing you can hear on a day like this. Forgive me, I can hear you just a little bit there, so bear with me here. But you know what, that list that we read you about an hour ago, or at least it seems like an hour, it was probably much longer. We're talking about a list that was 2 pages long, filled with dozens of students' names from Briarwood Elementary. And I want to show you what that list has been reduced to. Step in here, Isabel. Now we have, these are the last 4 students. Come in here, guys. Come on, let's let folks see it. If you know anyone who knows these children, I'm going to go through their names here shortly. These are the final 4, folks. We have got it down to the final 4 students from Briarwood Elementary School here right now at the corner of Vicky Drive and 156 Court. And this is the place that people can come pick them up. We have the Parker family, and then help me with your name again, young man.
Orta.
Say it again.
Orta.
Orta. And last name?
Orta.
And your first name, buddy?
Isaiah.
Isaiah Orta. And we have Logan Parker. And how old are you, Logan?
6.
We have 6-year-old.
7.
7-year-old Logan Parker. We have, I know, 8-year-old.
Josiah Parker.
8-year-old Josiah Parker. So we have second grader, first grader, kindergartner, and first grader. And I know your name, but go ahead and say it so everyone can hear you.
Isabel Parker.
Isabel Parker. Now, the Parker family tells me that their father works at GameStop in Norman, and their mother works nearby. They do live in Westmore. Unfortunately, I was talking with them, and you were telling me you're fearing your house isn't there anymore. Tell me why.
Because if our school was crushed, my house is like directly behind the pond, and so I think it might be crushed too, because I think the tornado started in Westmore somewhere.
And where are you going to stay now?
If my mom and dad are still alive, they're probably going to take us to a hotel till our house is rebuilt.
And you think they're okay? Today was their day off. Did you have a basement at your house?
No, we don't, but I think they survived.
Okay. Again, something you do not want to hear on a day like this in a town like Moore. That tornado was so big and it went through such a heavily populated area. Everyone needs to be accounted for as soon as possible, and that's what we're trying to do here just about a half mile south of Briarwood Elementary. 4 students left out of dozens that were not reunited with their parents earlier. We have the Parker family, and we have this young man right here. We have the Orta family. If you know these children and you know their family members, I know it's so hard to get in touch with them right now. Cell phones are down. Internet isn't much help either. Take a good look, folks. Teachers are here. They want to reunite them with parents. They're going to wait until they come and pick them up, and we're not going anywhere. We've got provisions here. We got water. We have snacks. We have food. People are taking care of these kids here today. And again, the Parker family Park and the Orta family just trying to get reunited here in South Moore. Logan, we talked about you earlier. You spent some time in an ambulance. Tell me what happened.
My back was busted by the ceiling, and...
Sorry, this mic is a little weak. Say it again.
The ceiling busted my back, so there's like a tiny hole in my back, and they patched it up with some bandages.
You said the ceiling fell down on top of your back. Now, are you doing? How do you feel right now, though? Are you doing okay?
Good.
Gotcha. And what did they do to fix you up?
They put in some liquid on my back so it can heal, and they even put a bandage with tape.
And you're feeling better. All right, good to hear. Again, we have 4 students left. We're at the corner of Vicky Drive and 156 Court, Briarwood Elementary. We've been told earlier, we talked to a National Guardsman who said that was flattened whenever that tornado rolled through here this afternoon. Walls were coming down. We heard the roof was ripped right off. Whenever Andrew and I walked up to the scene here, everyone was covered in mud. They hadn't had a chance to get cleaned up, and that's because as that tornado rolled through, it just completely decimated most of the school. However, everyone had prior warning, and they were able to seek shelter inside. So many stories coming in. One of the most compelling, we spoke to a young man about an hour and a half ago, and I said, how did you make it through this tornado here in the school? And he said his teacher came over him, covered him with her body as cinder blocks and bricks started falling down inside the bathroom. Now you hear those stories and you know and you expect the worst, but yet to see all of the children that were here earlier now with their parents yet again, and the fact that we have these 4 around me right now, hopefully reunited sooner than later here this evening and more. That's what gives you hope on a day like this, because you see the damage from the air, we've heard the reports, and you don't want to have to think about it, and you just want to keep on moving forward, and this is the kind of stuff that helps you do that when you're surrounded by so much destruction in a community like this that was hit seemingly everywhere when that tornado rolled through this afternoon. Paul?
Hey, Morgan, I don't know if you can hear me. Do you hear me there, Morgan?
I can.
Okay, I want to see that little boy in the blue again. What's his name? The little boy in the blue who doesn't know about his mom. You tell him everything's going to be okay.
Say your name for us one more time, buddy.
Josiah Parker.
We have Josiah Parker here, and Paul, what would you like me to ask?
Okay, you tell him everything's going to be okay, and I want people to look at Josiah right now. Josiah Parker, he needs to know his mom and dad are okay. He needs to know that. If you know Josiah...
I hear you, Paul.
Yeah, I want...
Yeah, let's go ahead and show these faces again. Everyone get in tight here. You're the final 4 here from Briarwood Elementary. Let's go ahead and we'll just go down. We have Isabel. We have Isabel Parker. We have...
Isaiah Orta.
We have Isaiah Orta. We have Logan Parker. And we have Josiah Parker. These are the final 4 students from Briarwood Elementary. I want everyone to take a good look, and you know what? You may not be able to reach. Keep showing these faces, Andrew. These are the faces that need to be reunited with their parents. This is what we need to do today. We need to use this live shot to hopefully reach out to someone that can get in touch with the Logans or the Ortas and let them know where to come. Don't discount word of mouth as well. We spoke to a father earlier who was reunited with his son about a half hour ago, and he told us that he probably talked to 100 people between his job, which he left without the permission of his boss to try to find his son. He talked to 100 people just asking him where he could find the Briarwood students, and that's what led him to this site right here. He said he ran, he jogged, he hitchhiked, waving down cars, telling people he was a first responder, which technically he is, although not practicing for some time, all in hopes of trying to be reunited with his son. Parents going to great lengths to get back with their children tonight, and we have 4 more, and we're not going to give up until their parents come here. Paul?
Okay, Morgan, thank you very much. The little boy in blue, Josiah Parker, he's the one that wants to know about his parents. He said, I don't know if they're alive. If you know Josiah Parker, you know his parents, I want you to get them a text message. Send them a text, call us here from the television station, and we will get that message relayed over there. Ariel Reshef is over at the Warren Theater right now. Ariel, what can you tell us? There's a lot of damage there.
Okay.
We've got you, Ariel. You're there at the Warren Theater.
All right, Paul and Jess, I can tell you, first of all, one of the most startling things when you first pull up here is just the amount of complete devastation. Let me show you what I'm talking about. This apparently was a bank at one point. You can see the cars there mounted, like stacked like toys, essentially. It just looks like complete devastation. If you pan over here, this was a bowling alley. And if we move even further over, you can see the staging area where we are here at the Warren Theater. And if we pan even further over, Carson, you can see the Warren Theater theater itself. Just complete devastation here. I spoke to several boys here that had come from the area, and they said that they just couldn't believe the devastation. They wanted to come and help, and they're Carson's showing you them right now. They're actually putting all of the debris into their truck, trying to move it out of the road so that people who still have their cars remaining here can actually get to them. Now, Carson, if you'll pan around for me, we can see, look at this, just these cars stacked on this side over here. I don't know how much we can pan. All right, on this side over here, cars just lined up. They look to be incinerated. This is just a scene out of something of a movie. It's not something that you could actually believe would actually happen in real life. Paul and Jess, back to you.
It is just an amazing scene, Ariel, there over by the Warren Theater. I want to go now over to Erin Engelke. She is with Feed the Children, of course, an organization that is right here in Oklahoma City that is set up to help people. Erin, thank you for talking to us. How are you guys going to help out in all of this?
Yeah, Paul, Feed the Children is always prepared to respond in disasters like this. And we're just, first of all, completely heartbroken by, what's happened to, our city of Moore. And what we're planning to do immediately is to respond to the, tornado victims and providing relief supplies. We'll actually be accepting donations from the public tomorrow. From 8:30 to 4:30 at our distribution center, which is located at 29 North McCormick in Oklahoma City. Paul, we look for items that can really just provide that immediate relief for these victims. So everything from diapers, canned goods, non-perishable food and snack items, water and sports drinks are really our priority at this point, so we can get those delivered immediately to the first responders and others who've been affected.
And Erin, when people drop that stuff off, how do they need to bring it in boxes? Can they just bring it? And are you guys taking cash donations as well?
Yes, so they can bring their donations in whatever form or fashion they would like. Bags or boxes is fine, and we will have volunteers stationed at our distribution center to accept those donations. And then, of course, yes, cash is always welcomed. We accept those through our website at feedthechildren.org/tornado. And we encourage people to make gifts that way as well.
And Erin, you guys, I know we're just down in Texas last week. Yeah. You're always ready to respond and all of this. I mean, you guys will have, a truck set up there tomorrow over at 29th and McCormick. That's going to be the place.
Right. Yep, that's right. We will be there. We have a distribution center there, and so we'll be, open from 8:30 to 4:30, just accepting the donations that can in turn be provided to everyone who's been affected by the storms today.
Feed the Children is a national organization, but you guys are based here, and you're always so willing to help, and it makes such a difference for our community.
Well, thank you, Paul.
And we appreciate it, Erin. Erin Engelke with Feed the Children, we certainly appreciate your time. Okay, this is the deal. Folks, you're blowing up my Twitter page, and I appreciate it with how do we help out others? I love to see that. I love to hear it. Well, there's one of the first responses we're getting from Feed the Children. Take your water, take your diapers, take your canned goods, sports drinks. 29th Street in McCormick, 8:30 to 4:30 tomorrow. They are there with open arms to accept your donation to help out. It can be cash, but it can also be those immediate things that they can put in people's hands right now. I want to go back out to the Warren Theater because this is the scene that we are looking at right now. Look at that car just flipped upside down. I'm not sure if we're going to go to Ariel Reshef right there, but I just want you to look at it. I can't quite tell what part of the theater that this is, but as we pull out just a little bit, I am told that this is the Warren Theater. Certainly, there are parts of it there, and there is the rest of the Warren Theater. I guess the building in the front of that is where some pretty heavy damage was, and you can see right there there's also some more damage right there. And Chief Meteorologist Damon Lane coming up here. And Damon, I mean, Moore is where you live.
Yeah,
Moore is your community, and boy, we have all been to the Warren Theater, and you see that right there. Just everywhere we have seen is just unbelievable.
It's been unbelievable.
Damage. Yeah.
The lead time that we had on this tornado warning there, Paul, was unbelievable. We certainly had a very big lead time. However, even with the biggest of lead times here and giving you the warning, we're still gonna have images like this. I know I know that Moore is an area that has seen this before. It's not like we're never not going to see this ever again there, Paul.
Yeah.
We're going to see this again. However, the one thing that we can always do is that always make sure you have a place to go. My personal story is that 4 months ago I put in a storm shelter.
I remember you talking about this.
It was 4 months ago, thinking to myself that as a meteorologist, I'm probably never going to use it because I'm always going to be sitting either here or I'm going to be on that chroma key over there giving the weather. So I knew that I was never going to be home when a tornado went through Moore. However, I was recently married, and my wife, who we spoke to earlier, Melissa, she left work. She went home, and basically I said, shelter now. And I texted a couple of my friends, said, shelter now. She got into the shelter. Our dog, our big husky dog, did not want to go in at first. So she left him in there thinking, well, maybe everything will be okay. However, she had on her iPhone, she was actually listening to us on her KOCO Tornado app, and she started hearing me say the Subway, the Walmart, the Highland Junior High, Veterans Park, getting that detail. She was saying,
all the stuff by the house.
All the stuff by the house, things that I pass by every single day as I drive in. And all of a sudden she said, I've got 1 minute, ran back in, grabbed the dog, and she's in her heels. The dog's biting her hand, gnawing on her hand, and but it's that adrenaline when you know that your life this is no longer something that you're going to see on TV. This is now something that you're going to live through. Your adrenaline kicks in, and I bet this is going to be another anniversary that we're celebrating here, just like we celebrate May 3rd.
Yeah, I mean, it is just what we see is just amazing. And talking to Melissa, your wife, she called us and we talked to her on the air, and she said, and she's a former reporter. We have to tell people that I actually worked at this station years ago, but she said it does sound like that train that people talk about. That's really what it sort of sounded like, the noise of all of it. You guys' house is still standing.
What's interesting, and I will never understand this about how tornadoes work, but it goes to show you the strength that Mother Nature has, is that one street up, the neighborhood's completely demolished. And even talking to one of our storm chasers who was on this storm, Chance Cold Iron, he was on this storm, and you still have to have a degree of professionalism as you are a storm chaser and a broadcast meteorologist, but we're human. I'm human. To say that the entire time that I still wasn't thinking, like, is my home going to be there tonight? That was still in the back of my head, and so we still have emotions. We have feelings as well as we go through this, but you maintain that degree of professionalism. You remain calm as these storms going through. Fortunately, I heard from her. She is okay. Our house is okay. However, like I said, one street up, it's not. And you see those pictures, those aerials, where one house is just completely demolished and another house is just fine. I will never understand that. I never will. But it's just the power of Mother Nature.
It really is. Well, you kept your wife safe. You kept a lot of people safe today, and we certainly appreciate you giving people the warning. We had the one woman. She said, well, I had a lot of time to get to my shelter. 13 minutes is some of the time that you're able to predict out now.
We watched this tornado. I mean, it was forming over the Canadian River. It moved east at 20 miles per hour. Our heads up time, we actually were talking about this for a couple days. That was a heads up right there. But the stories, there's going to be a lot of good stories, and unfortunately, there's going to be a lot of sad stories.
Yeah, there is. I'm going to go out to Ariel Reschiff right now. And Ariel, I know you're there at the theater. Who do you have there?
I'm standing here with Ben McMillan. He's actually a storm chaser from Iowa. He's showing me some unbelievably incredible video of that huge tornado that swept through here. Ben, tell us a little bit about what you saw.
It was just before 3 o'clock, and we were in the Norman area traveling northbound on I-35, and as spotters, we try to be there when the first tornadoes drop, but this one went from a small rope, which does happen from time to time in the state of Oklahoma, to something I've never seen before. I've seen numerous tornadoes, but this grew so fast it gave the people of Oklahoma City maybe 15 minutes of warning. It went from a small tornado to a mile-wide just killer. I mean, this is what this was. It cut the city in half. It's the worst thing that I've seen in my entire life in the state of Oklahoma. Just truly tragic.
How many years of storm chasing experience do you have?
I've been storm chasing for over 10, 11 years, and I've seen other EF5 tornadoes. I tracked the Parkersburg tornado, which was a EF5, and this was just as big, if not bigger. I mean, there's no rating higher than what this tornado was, but I mean, it was up there. I'm just hope that, pray to God, everybody's okay.
We know it's really a scary situation when a storm chaser is actually speechless. Ben, I know you're also an EMT. Tell us a little bit about what injuries you saw here. I know you were one of the first people to arrive here at the Warren.
One of the first vehicles to arrive here outside of the medical center here in Moore, and we did search and rescue at one of their buildings on their campus. The first thing that folks were yelling at me when I walked up was, we have 18 people trapped inside this building. The building was unrecognizable. There was pieces of concrete slabs just that had collapsed in over the people. We were pulling them up through the crevices, and once the Moore Fire Department got in scene, obviously turned it over to the professionals, but we must have gotten 2 or 3 people out before they got here, and hope to God everybody survived in there.
What types of injuries were you seeing?
Mainly just spinal issues, people who got hit hard, things that, like, you got to make sure that you check them out with x-rays and things, because anytime the body experiences some sort of trauma, you want to make sure to stabilize those people and get them to a hospital as soon as possible.
So this is definitely something you have never experienced in your life before?
I've never seen anything this big. I mean, just flat out, I have no words to describe it.
Wow, well, there you hear it. A storm chaser, a professional storm chaser, speechless at the magnitude of this twister. And we're going to try to bring you that video from Ben so that we can show you what he's been showing us over the last couple minutes. Back to you, Paul and Jess.
Ariel, this is Damon Lane here. Can you hear me right now?
I can hear you, Damon.
Okay, you were right along I-35. Is there any